Welcome back. Okay, so I want to talk about the career of Eddie Belfour today, known as Eddie the Eagle, and also known as Crazy Eddie. Eddie the Eagle, a Olympic reference, which if you're as old as I am, you get. And also, of course, people looking back would go, well, it's because he has an eagle on his mask. He did have those eagles on his mask, and they looked absolutely fantastic. At a time where masks were really, not necessarily at their peak, but the creativity really ramped up, Belfour's masks were always excellent. So he wasn't drafted. He's one of those undrafted players. He signs as a free agent with the Chicago Blackhawks in 1987, September 25th of that year. So 88-89, he makes his debut with the Chicago Blackhawks, plays 23 games, 4-12-3 was his record, 877 save percentage. 89-90, they wanted to send him to the AHL, and he said, nah, I'm good, and he played with the Canadian team instead, the Canadian national team, not the same as the Canadian Olympic team. So after he's done with that program, the Chicago Blackhawks bring him in for the playoffs. And during the 1990 playoffs, he ends up 4-2 in the 9 games he plays with a .915 save percentage. Now, this is when Chicago has a lot of goaltenders and decisions have to get made. And the decision ends up being, I think we're going to go with Eddie. 90-91, in his first full season with the Chicago Blackhawks, he plays 74 games, which is first in the NHL. As a rookie, 43 wins, which is also first in the NHL, to go with 19 losses and 7 ties. His save percentage of .910, while today we would consider that a little bit above average, at that stage in the NHL, that was first. Almost unheard of, a 91% save percentage. And then in the playoffs, in 6 games, he's 2-4 with an .891 save percentage. But yeah, this is a guy who's got all kinds of hype around him. First team All-Star, Calder winner, Jennings winner, Vezina winner, and he's third in Hart voting. So this is when everybody wanted there were 2 different kinds of cards people wanted, either Sergei Fedorov or an Ed Belfour. And they were the hot commodity in the trading card world at that time. 91-92, he plays 52 games that year, has a record of 21-18-10. 894 save percentage, so his numbers drop off. But in the playoffs, boy, do they ever take off. 18 games, he ends up 12-4 that year, 902 save percentage. Now, Pittsburgh in the final definitely didn't help that save percentage, but in general, a remarkable run. And it's the first case of one of these miraculous turnarounds for Belfour. He had a kind of a mediocre regular season, and then in the playoffs, he's fantastic. He did play in the All-Star game, and still, despite having an 894 save percentage, which is a drop of 16 points, he was 4th in Vezina. So he's not even in the top 10 in the save percentage category, but he ends up 4th in the Vezina. So he's still well respected. 92-93, gets back to business. 71 games played, that's first in the NHL. 41 wins, which is second in the NHL, to go with 18 losses and 11 ties. 906 save percentage, third in the National Hockey League that year with a 906 save percentage. In the playoffs, he goes 0-4 with an 866 save percentage. Plays in the All-Star game. He's a first-team All-Star, Jennings winner, and he wins his second Vezina trophy. So, yeah, this is a pretty good start to a guy's career, that 3 full seasons in the NHL, and twice he's won the Vezina. So Belfour seen as one of, if not the best goaltender in the league. Remember, I did the Mike Richter video not too long ago, and Richter was considered one of the best goalies in the world as well. 93-94, he plays 70 games, which is 4th overall in the NHL. 37 wins, which is 2nd. To go with 24 losses and 6 ties. 906 save percentage again. Does not make the top 10 there. In the playoffs, he's 2-4. 921 save percentage. He was 7th in Vezina voting that year. So a lot of respect still being given to him. 94-95, remember this is a lockout shortened season, so he plays 42 games, which is 3rd overall. 22 wins, which is 2nd. 15 losses, which is 10th. To go with 3 ties, again with the 906 save percentage. In the playoffs, in 16 games, he goes 9-7 with a 923 save percentage. Second team All-Star, Jennings winner, and he's 2nd in the Vezina voting. So it's remarkable how well he plays. And even though his save percentage isn't top 10, he ends up 2nd in the Vezina voting, partly due to the fact that he wins the Jennings, right? That's where the goals against average and save percentage to me are a little I don't know. I think sometimes when a goaltender has a low goals against average, he may get more respect than one that has a high goals against average who's playing just as well. And that's the argument I've always had with goals against. That's one of the reasons I don't use it for goaltender videos. 95, 96, 50 games played, a record of 22, 17, and 10 for a 902 save percentage. He did play in the All-Star game again that year. 9 games in the playoffs. 6-3 record, 929 save percentage. So he ups his game in the playoffs almost every time he plays in the playoffs. But then 96, 97, so things are getting kind of tense here. He doesn't come to a contract extension with the Chicago Blackhawks. They want to sign him, but in 33 games, he has a record of 11, 15, and 6 with a 907 save percentage. So what do we say when somebody's contract's running out? Well, you don't want to lose him for nothing. So rather than losing him for nothing on January the 25th, he's traded to the San Jose Sharks in exchange for Ulf Dahlin, Michael Sikora, and Chris Terreri. So he's sent there shortly before the trade deadline. His time in San Jose is both brief and frustrating. In 13 games with the Sharks after the trade, he goes 3-9. The combined 24 losses are 9th overall in the NHL that year, a save percentage of .884. He just didn't look good. He didn't look happy either. And so for me as a fan at the time, I thought he didn't play up to what he should have, and he played like he just didn't want to be there. And so I had mixed feelings when July 2nd of that following offseason, he signed with the Dallas Stars. Because I didn't know if we were going to get the Eddie Belfour who had played in San Jose or the one who had played in Chicago previous to that season, right? So for Belfour, he dispels any fears that any Dallas fans like myself might have had that first year. In 97-98, plays 61 games, 37 wins, which is second in the NHL to go with 12 losses and 10 ties. 916 save percentage, which is 8th overall in the NHL. And in the playoffs, Dallas, a team that really wants to get over the hump and is a contender, well, he helps them in 17 games, a 10-7 record with a 922 save percentage. He's back in the All-Star game. He's 4th in the Vezina voting. And, he's a star and a star for the Stars. 98-99, 61 games played, so that's consistent. 35 wins, which is second overall, again. 15 losses, 9 ties. 915 save percentage, which is 10th overall. How remarkable is it? His save percentage goes 916, 915, and then 919. Very remarkable numbers while he was in Dallas. 23 games in the playoffs, 16-7 record, 930 save percentage. So we all look back on that 99 run for the Dallas Stars, and we all talk about the Brett Hull skate in the crease. It is a shame that it overshadows what was an awesome run for Ed Belfour. Again, that 930 save percentage, out-dueling Dominik Hasek at the other end of the ice. Considering Dominik Hasek had been in the Chicago organization and that there was always talk that there might have been some tension there that caused Hasek to be traded to Buffalo, Belfour wanted to be the number one guy. And so that's why you end up with moves being made. In part, that might be why he ends up leaving Chicago in 97 as well, as they decide they're going to go in a different direction. Plus, they're not able to come to that contract extension. So, 99-2000, plays 62 games, which is 10th overall in the NHL among goaltenders. 32 wins, which is 6th overall to go with 21 losses and 7 ties. 919 save percentage. Dallas goes back to the final that year. He ends up 14-9 in 23 games. 931 save percentage, 4th in Vezina voting. So, in the playoffs, the guy's gold. 921, 923, 929, 922, 930, 931. Right? So while there are some that he might rub the wrong way for being outspoken and for being surly at times and just crazy Eddie, reality is he's a winner. And that's what matters, right, when you're a goaltender. 2000-2001 plays 63 games, which is 9th overall among goaltenders. 35 wins, which is 8th in the NHL. 20 losses, 7 ties, 905 save percentage in the playoffs, 10 games, 4-6 record, 910 save percentage. So, Dallas has a problem the following year in that his contract's coming up, and it would have been nice to sign him long-term, but there's this guy, Marty Turco, who looks like he's going to be a pretty good goaltender too. So 2001-2002, he plays 60 games with Dallas, but his numbers take a real hit. He has 21 wins, 27 losses, which is 9th overall in the NHL to go with 11 ties, 895 save percentage. So they don't sign him to an extension. Instead, they trade his rights. On June 29th, his rights are traded to Nashville with Cameron Mann in exchange for a 2003 fifth and David Gosselin. Now, whether or not there might have been, well, if he signs, you get this. If he signs, he didn't sign. On July the 2nd, he signs in Toronto. So he's going to the Toronto Maple Leafs, where Ed Belfour is now replacing Curtis Joseph, one of my favorite goaltenders, right? And the idea is, well, here's another veteran goaltender that's going to come in and save things for Toronto. I had my doubts. I thought, Belfour kind of looked like he was not necessarily done, but maybe done as a starting goaltender. Maybe it should be a 1A, 1B situation in Toronto, and no. 2002-2003, plays 62 games with the Leafs, 37 wins, which is third overall in the NHL, to go with 20 losses and 5 ties, .922 save percentage, which is fifth overall in the NHL. In the playoffs, in 7 games, he's 3-4 with a .915 save percentage. Yep, that's 7 games and 4 of them lost for Toronto. Third in Vezina voting that year. So there's your bounce back again. So every time in his career that Belfour's looked like, he might be done. Maybe he's not even going to make the NHL. 89-90, he's going to Canadian national team rather than playing in the AHL. Yeah, no, he had a pretty good career after that. Well, that run in San Jose is probably going to be, nope, he's good. Well, that last year in Dallas there, he looks like he's done. Nope, he's good. So 2003-2004, 59 games, 34 wins, which was third overall, again. 19 losses, 6 ties, .918 save percentage. In the playoffs, in 13 games, he goes 6-7 with a .929 save percentage. He's 7th in Vezina voting. He's 10th in the Hart. He is 10th in Hart voting. First time he'd been in the top 10 in the Hart voting since 90-91. So, remarkable run by Eddie the Eagle as a Maple Leaf. And then, of course, we have the 04-05 lockout, wiped out season. He supported an attempt to bring the WHA back, a Dallas team for the WHA. It didn't work out. The WHA, I know that when 04-05 came around, there were some, and I thought, it could happen. The idea that the union decides, what, to heck with this, we're not accepting a salary cap. We could just start up our own league, was kind of the feeling that was around. And so Belfour kind of embraced that, but it didn't work. So they come back to the negotiating table. They accept the salary cap. And Belfour's back with the Leafs. 05-06, plays 49 games, 22-22-4 record, .892 save percentage. And again, his play seems to have just kind of fallen off. He's older at this stage too. Keep in mind that when he signed in Chicago, he wasn't 18 years of age then either. So what's going to happen with him? Well, July 25th, he signs with the Florida Panthers. And this is at a stage where, older players will sign in Florida and end up retiring there because, sure. So Belfour's last year, he plays 58 games for the Panthers, a record of 27-17-10, .902 save percentage. His numbers aren't bad, considering, right? And I think if Belfour wanted to keep going, I think he would have found something in the NHL. He did go over to Sweden, though. Played overseas and played very, very well in the Swedish league for the 1 year that he played there. And set a record or two as well. But his NHL career ends at the end of the 06-07 season with Florida. He ends up with 963 games played, which is 5th overall on that list. His 484 wins are 5th overall as well. 320 losses are 12th, 125 ties or overtime losses as well. I'm just saying ties because most of his career is just ties. .906 save percentage on average. So right where he was here, that's his average. But then look at his playoff numbers. 161 games played, a record of 88-68, .920 save percentage. So your team gets into the playoffs, you have Ed Belfour in net, you have a better chance of winning than you would if he wasn't there. So he was the last goaltender to get the Toronto Maple Leafs past round 1. So that's noteworthy. He ends up with 76 career shutouts, which was 10th on the all-time list. 2011, he ended up in the Hockey Hall of Fame because, he has to go into the Hall of Fame, right? 5th all-time on the overall wins list. He did have that Stanley Cup in 99 as well. And he gets Olympic gold in 2002, although there's kind of an asterisk to this in that he's the team's number 3. But it ties into a video I did yesterday on Canadian goaltending and how it's fallen off. Belfour, 2002, he's the number 3 goaltender behind Curtis Joseph and Marty Brodeur. So pretty good goaltending for the Canadian Olympic team right there when your number 3 guy is one of the top 5 all-time on the wins list and has a Stanley Cup within the last few years. 1991, he also won Canada Cup gold, where he did play in that tournament. But at any rate, very accomplished career, very famous goaltender, and I thought, I was debating about whether to wear Dallas or wear Chicago, and I thought, well, I'll wear Chicago because without Chicago, he doesn't end up in Dallas. Chicago takes a chance on him, they give him the starting net, and he worked with Keenan's system, where it was pulling goaltenders right, left, and center, and just some oddities with Chicago's net, but it worked. And this, of course, was an era where Chicago had some success and got right into the final, just could not beat the Pittsburgh Penguins, but nobody could that year. So at any rate, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.